And we have breaking news coming for you on top of Gravitas. The UK's Home Office has ordered the extradition of fugitive Indian businessman Vijay Mallya. The Home Office has confirmed to Wion that Mallya now has 2 weeks to challenge this extradition. And our London Bureau Chief Mandy Clark has been following this case from the word go. She's joining us live from London. Mandy, what updates do we have?
What we do know now is that Vijay Mallya has around 2 weeks, 14 days to appeal. Is very likely he will do, almost definitely. This isn't really a surprise that the Home Secretary has approved it. It was very much expected. There was the Indian side gave a very strong case, and the judge put it to the Home Secretary to approve. So that isn't a surprise. We do expect Mallya to appeal. The bigger surprise would be now if Mallya decides to accept the extradition decision and head home. So we'll have to see whether or not he does appeal. Then it's to the appeals court. Now we can expect a much quicker trial if that happens. And if it still isn't the result that Mallya wants, then it's the Supreme Court, and then it could go all the way to the European Court of Justice.
So when you say a quicker trial, time is of essence, Mandy. I'm sure you appreciate the fact that this is election season in India, and getting Vijay Mallya back at this point will be very, very significant, good optics and more for the ruling dispensation here. So when we say that things are proceeding faster than expected, and this is an advantage for the government and the prosecution here in New Delhi, how quickly can we see things turning around?
It's difficult to know how quickly. An appeals court decision tends to happen quicker, but it's the judiciary, and it's slow with a lot of cases. So the original court case itself took over a year to reach a decision, but we can expect much less. So within 2 to 3 months after that date is set, we can expect a decision on that, and the Supreme Court will be even less time. And if they decide to go to the European Courts of Justice, now that option might be off the table. If Britain has Brexited, they might not be under the European Court of Justice judiciary, so it might just go to the Supreme Court. So there is a lot still up in the air, of course, with the legal system here in Britain. But you could expect it in a few months rather than a year for a decision to be made.
Extradition of people like Vijay Mallya is politically very, very sensitive in India. And as we track this case and we speak to people from all sides, the criticism that has come for successive Indian governments is the fact that they do not follow up the case with as much passion, that they drag their feet. But this government, some would say, has shown a lot of drive in this regard, and they've really pushed this. Do you believe that this has moved faster? And how significant is the fact that the Home Office in Britain at this time, when the government itself is dealing with, has a lot on its plate, has gone ahead with this decision? Do you think that there is some political, some back channel talk happening as well?
Certainly there was a lot of expectation on Britain to make a quick decision. That might be the case. But certainly what the judge said is that every time she had a question from the Indian side, they were very quick to give a reply. And so I think where you're seeing greater kind of follow through is really through the judiciary. When the judge asked for extra files, they got it. When they wanted a film of the jail conditions, they got it right away. And so it was very easy for the judge to make a decision in India's favor because they were working hand in glove really with the judiciary. And perhaps that hasn't been the case in the past. But certainly we do know India had made representations to Britain, making it clear how important this case was to them. So the Home Secretary would have known that there would be an expectation for him to make a decision fairly quickly.
Final question, Mandy. You've been tracking this case. You've been speaking to legal experts. How do the odds stack against Vijay Mallya in this case?
Well, it's always dangerous to go in the world of speculation, but many of the legal minds do believe that he will ultimately be sent back, that this is just a slow process, whether he goes to an appeal. They don't see his case strong enough to warrant that he stays in the UK. So in many ways, it's just delaying the inevitable. When I spoke to a lot of legal experts, of course, you're never too sure what a judge will decide. But I think the overall view is there is a case to be heard in India and that he needs to go back to face it.
Mandy Clark, thanks very much. As always, very balanced assessment of things. Vijay Mallya's extradition request cleared by the UK Home Office, but he can still appeal. Things moving faster than expected, and this is going to make good headlines for the government in New Delhi at least. That's where the story stands for the moment. And this is the biggest headline in India. In West Bengal, a face-off between the state and the central government is brewing. The Chief Minister of West Bengal has been on a sit-in protest against the centre. She says the Modi government is planning a coup in her state. The trigger was a CBI raid against the top police official in West Bengal. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee claims that the Indian Prime Minister wants her dethroned before the upcoming general election.
Police Commissioner Jara Andare, কয়েক হাজার পুলিশ ফোর্স কাজ করে তুমি তার বাড়িতে চলে আসছো উইদাউট ওয়ারেন্ট তার বাড়িতে আসছো কি সিক্রেট অপারেশন করবে বলে এত বড় অরাজনীতি হলো করতে পায়ের জোরে ভয় দেখিয়ে ধমকি দিয়ে ভাবছে বিজেপিকে জেতাবে বাংলার মাটি খুব দুর্জয় ঘাঁটি
This is not the first time that Mamata Banerjee has said that the centre is planning a coup against her. She's done it in the past, and in the past too, the centre dismissed her allegations. They've done the same this time. Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad was unsparing in his criticism. He asked why the state's police commissioner was in a sit-in protest with the chief minister.
केजरीवाल जी ने मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में धरना पर बैठने का एक नया निम्न स्तर शुरू किया था। ममता जी ने उसको फॉलो किया, मुख्यमंत्री हैं, लेकिन कमिश्नर लेवल के पदाधिकारी धरना पर बैठे हैं। ये तो देश की राजनीति में आज तक नहीं हुआ है। क्या मतलब है इसका? ये देश कहां जा रहा है कि पुलिस कमिश्नर धरना पर बैठे, वो भी पॉलिटिकल लोगों के साथ।
The political storm resonated in the parliament as well. Both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha were adjourned following a ruckus. Home Minister Rajnath Singh hinted at a breakdown of the law and order situation in West Bengal.
पश्चिमी बंगाल के महामहिम राज्यपाल महोदय से भी चर्चा की है और राज्यपाल महोदय ने राज्य के चीफ सेक्रेटरी और डीजी पुलिस को बुलाया है कि इस मामले में उत्पन्न एजेंसियों के टकराव को दूर किया जा सके और सीबीआई के अधिकारियों को सुरक्षा प्रदान की जा सके। मैंने इस मामले में महामहिम राज्यपाल को यह भी कहा है कि पूरे मामले की एक रिपोर्ट वह भेजने का कष्ट करें।
The Home Ministry also sought a report from the governor of the state. Wion has accessed details of this report. The governor has stated that officers of the Central Bureau of Investigation, the CBI, were illegally confined by the Kolkata police last night. The crisis has reached the doorsteps of the court. India's top court came down heavily on the CBI's plea seeking an investigation against the West Bengal Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar. The CBI has accused the top cop of tampering with evidence in several billion-dollar scams. The apex court, though, has asked for proof. In fact, the Supreme Court will hear the CBI's plea in this case tomorrow. But what led to such a sticky situation in the state? Who are the key players and what have they done? Here's a look at all the drama that played out over the weekend.
Saturday, 2nd of February, India's premier investigating agency makes a stinging allegation against the West Bengal police chief. The Central Bureau of Investigation labelled West Bengal's Commissioner of Police absconding. The agency accused Rajiv Kumar of hiding evidence in the probe of two scams. The Sarada scam, a major financial fraud that had mobbed up about 1,200 crore rupees through chit funds. And the financial fraud in the Rose Valley scam, which is estimated at over 15,000 crore rupees. Millions of depositors who had invested their life savings in hopes of getting higher returns were duped by the company. Kumar was heading a probe in the scams, but CBI believes that he hid some crucial evidence. A group of CBI officers landed in Kolkata on Sunday to pursue the investigation. They reached Kumar's residence only to be bundled up by police officials and detained. Kolkata police also cordoned off the CGO complex, the state headquarters of the CBI. As politics unfolded on the streets, the Chief Minister rushed to the residence of the police commissioner. She accused the Indian Prime Minister of staging a coup in the state. Mamata Banerjee claimed that the Bharatiya Janata Party was rattled by her efforts to stitch together an alliance of opposition parties ahead of general elections in the country. In a truly dramatic style, the West Bengal Chief Minister then decided to organize a sit-in protest. She began an indefinite dharna in an uptown locality in Kolkata. The metro channel in Esplanade became ground zero, where Mamata began her 25-day-long agitation against the special economic zone in Singur. And if history is anything to go by, she is not going to bow down just yet. Bureau Report, Wion, World is One.
Far from bowing down, in fact, Mamata Banerjee looks like she'll make the most of this controversy in election season. It's an opportunity, in fact, for the West Bengal Chief Minister. A clash with Prime Minister Modi is something that she was spoiling for. She finally has got it. Just a couple of days ago, remember, Mamata Banerjee organized a mega rally in Kolkata. Prominent leaders of some 20 opposition parties attended this event. And with this drama that's still going on, Ms. Banerjee has fortified her place as the leader of this opposition coalition, it seems. Still early days, but that's what she's aiming at, some say. The Trinamool Congress-led state government, remember, has made several attempts in the recent past to stop the BJP from campaigning in the state of West Bengal. Authorities do not grant permission to BJP Chief Amit Shah to hold mega rallies across the state. And with the latest developments, Mamata Banerjee has managed to gather more momentum. Opposition parties in India rallying behind her. Several political leaders, including Congress President Rahul Gandhi, the Aam Aadmi Party's Arvind Kejriwal, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu and RJD National President Lalu Prasad have all come out in support of Mamata Banerjee. Congress Party Chief Rahul Gandhi even called her up and extended support, saying that the entire opposition is together on the issue. Her seemingly tough stance against the centre has also projected her as a possible contender for the leader of this anti-BJP alliance, if others agree, and if there is an alliance in place by the time we head to elections. But politics aside, what is the merit of her stand? West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh are the only two Indian states where the CBI has to seek permission before carrying out a raid or an investigation. This is with the exception of an investigation ordered by the courts, though. As it happens, the Kolkata High Court has indeed ordered the CBI to investigate the Sharda scam. The investigative agency is well within its legal rights to question the police commissioner in a scam that hit 20 lakh people in the state of West Bengal. There's a twist, though. The Calcutta High Court had issued a stay order in the questioning of Rajiv Kumar, the police chief of West Bengal, till the 13th of February. That means that technically the CBI went against the High Court order. They went early. A 3-judge bench comprising the Chief Justice of India and 2 other judges will be looking into the legal validity of the case. For the moment, Mamata Banerjee seems to be making the most of this drama. The Palestinian coastal enclave of Gaza is set to be even more isolated. The tiny strip of land is surrounded by fences, both on land and sea. And now the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, who himself faces an election in less than a month from now, has announced the construction of yet another defensive barrier. Some see it as an electoral move. Our West Asia Bureau Chief Daniele Pagani reports.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated Israel is reinforcing the barrier running along the border with the Gaza Strip.
בסוף השבוע התחלנו בהקמת המכשול העילי בגבול עזה. המכשול ימנע חדירת טרוריסטים מעזה לשטחנו מעל פני הקרקע. ולצד זה אני מבקש להבהיר, אם בעזה לא ישמרו על השקט, נדע לקבל החלטות גם בתקופת בחירות ולא נהסס לפעול.
The 6-meter-high fence will round for 65 kilometers and will pair with an underground barrier Israel has been building around Gaza to prevent potential underground attacks from the wide network of cross-border tunnels. The fence will be equipped with sensors to spot and prevent any possible trespassing. Israel is also nearing completion of a 200 meters long sea barrier on the northern Gaza border, where shallow waters prevent Israeli military vessels to operate. The sea barrier is made of underground boulders equipped with anti-seismic sensors and a surface fence. Netanyahu's announcement comes after a period of relative calm on the Gaza border. Some see the fence's renewal 2 months before the general elections as an attempt by the Prime Minister to boost consensus. Netanyahu, who also holds the position of Ministry of Defense, had come under growing criticism for his approach towards Hamas, the Islamist organization ruling in Gaza. Right-wing politicians and citizens have criticized his handling of the escalation in November 2018, when a botched Israeli undercover operation inside Gaza prompted Hamas to fire hundreds of missiles against southern Israel. The Prime Minister had advocated back then and worked towards a ceasefire instead of a heavy military intervention. For the 2 million Palestinians living in Gaza, this is yet another step towards isolation. For citizens of Gaza, traveling out of the coastal enclave, it is nearly impossible. USAID, the US Agency for International Development, has also recently decided to stop all economic assistance to both Gaza and the West Bank, forcing many Palestinians into unemployment.
I worked for a year. The project was supposed to be a 5-year project and ends in 2020. I was repairing my house. I wrote promissory notes of large amounts of money for many people. So this is surprising for me to be told that my work has ended. I cannot go back to it. How am I supposed to pay the loans back? How am I supposed to pay the debts? I'm going to end up in jail.
The United States considers a Gaza-ruling Hamas a terrorist organization. Washington's decision falls under the Anti-Terrorism Clarification Act, which allows cutting aid to recipients involved in acts of war. The relation with Palestinians in general, but in particular with Gaza and Hamas, is always one of the main topics during Israeli election, and this is perhaps why the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu decided to announce the renewal of the border fence right now. Maybe he wishes to booster his consensus. To be honest, he's actually facing a very hard election. He faces legal charges, some defections from within his own ranks, and also a growing criticism back at home. It won't be easy for him to retain the prime ministership also for the coming years. Daniele Pagani in Jordan, reporting for Wion. World is One.
West Asia is in news thanks to a high-profile visitor as well. Pope Francis became the first pope to set foot on the Arabian Peninsula, the birthplace of Islam. The Pope will meet leading Muslim clerics during his 48-hour visit. He will also hold an open-air mass, which is expected to be attended by nearly 135,000 Catholics. This visit is politically significant. Last week, remember, the Pope had urged all the warring parties in Yemen to seek peace. The UAE and Saudi Arabia are deeply involved in the nearly 4-year-long war in Yemen.
Pope Francis is looking to turn a page in relations between Christianity and Islam. He's on a visit to a region which is predominantly populated by Muslims. Pope Francis is the first pontiff to do so. The pontiff was welcomed by Abu Dhabi's Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and the ruler of Dubai Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. The Pope calls this visit an opportunity to write a new page in the history of relations between Islam and Christianity. That's significant for the nearly 2 million Catholics residing in the region. On Tuesday, the Pope will hold an outdoor mass for nearly 135,000 Catholics, the first of its kind in the Arabian Peninsula. The pontiff will also participate in a conference on interreligious dialogue at Abu Dhabi. The dialogue is sponsored by the UAE-based Muslim Council of Elders, and it intends to counter religious fanaticism in the region. Ahead of the current trip, Pope Francis had slammed the humanitarian crisis in Yemen and urged the warring parties to seek peace.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno. Con grande preoccupazione seguo la crisi umanitaria nello Yemen. La popolazione è stremata dal lungo conflitto.
The UAE and Saudi Arabia are involved in the 4-year-long war in Yemen against Houthi rebels. Pope Francis is perceived to be different from his predecessors. He is regarded as an outspoken critic who's unafraid to express his views on politics, economy, war and militarization. In fact, there are books written on his political activism. He has commented on a variety of issues, ranging from Yemen to Venezuela and capitalism to climate change. Sample his recent comments on the ongoing political crisis in Venezuela.
Desde mi cercanía, lo que siento, yo sufro por lo que está pasando en Venezuela en este momento. Y por eso deseo que se pongan de acuerdo, no sé, tampoco decir ponerse de acuerdo está bien. Una solución justa y pacífica, ¿qué es lo que me asusta?
The current papal visit also has political undertones. The Pope's visit has raised hopes among Christians living in the Arabian Peninsula. Currently, there are stringent restrictions on building churches in the region. The Vatican has often said that the presence of the church in the UAE should get stronger, so that may be on the cards. And the Pope may, either in public or private, raise the touchy issue of the crisis in Yemen. Rights groups have urged the Pontiff to raise the issue of the UAE's intolerance of dissent as well as the state of human rights in the country. The Pope is also expected to call for more freedom to practice Christianity in the region. Such a call coming in the heartland of Islam is significant, especially when churches are banned in Saudi Arabia. Pope Francis once ministered in the slums of Buenos Aires, but in his 6 years of papacy,
the Pope of the Holy See,
he's already become the first Pope to address the US Congress. There, the Pontiff was unafraid to bring up politically polarizing issues of immigration and climate change. And the visit to West Asia to strengthen interreligious ties could be another feather in the Pope's cap. Bureau Report, Wion, World is One.
The political crisis in Venezuela is threatening to take a turn for the worse. There's no answer to the simple question yet: who is the president of the country? Many governments across the world have recognized the opposition leader, Guaido, over the last 24 hours, but President Maduro is holding on to power despite massive protests. The war of words between Maduro and US President Donald Trump has entered into a dangerous zone. Maduro warns the US that interference in Venezuela will leave Trump's presidency stained with blood. Strong words at a volatile time.
Que la puerta está abierta al diálogo, al entendimiento, al respeto a la independencia de Venezuela. Y la puerta está abierta a 1000 fórmulas para ese entendimiento. No aceptamos ultimátum de nadie. Es como que yo le dijera a la Unión Europea, le doy 7 días para reconocer a la República de Cataluña. O si no, vamos a tomar medidas, ¿no? Aquí en la política internacional no puede basarse en ultimátum. Esa es la época de los imperios, de las colonias.
Maduro has rejected an ultimatum given by the European Union to hold early elections. The European Union had given time till Sunday to announce new polls. The EU had planned to recognize Guaido as president if Maduro failed to call elections, and members of the EU are now walking the talk. 9 European nations, France, Spain, Germany, Britain, Portugal, Sweden, Denmark, Austria and the Netherlands have all followed the US. They've recognized the opposition leader Juan Guaido as president.
El Parlamento Europeo es la primera institución europea en hacerlo y pedimos a los Estados miembros y a la alta representante que hagan lo mismo cuanto antes a fin de tener una posición única y fuerte.
Trump has not ruled out military action in Venezuela, and that has renewed fears of civil war.
You use the U.S. military in Venezuela. What's the national security
Well, I don't want to say
interest?
that, but certainly it's something that's on the, it's an option.
Would you personally negotiate with Nicolas Maduro to convince him to exit?
Well, he has requested a meeting, and I've turned it down because we're very far along in the process. You have a young and energetic gentleman, but you have other people within that same group that have been very, if you talk about democracy, it's really democracy in action.
The protests are intensifying on the ground, unlike last week's protests, which were largely against President Maduro. Now, protesters from both the camps have taken to the streets, and that has raised tensions.
No queremos injerencismo de los Estados Unidos ni de la Unión Europea. Queremos paz. Aquí estamos un pueblo demostrando que queremos paz, que queremos ser libres, no queremos ser colonia de nadie.
The economy is very, very bad, but we need the help, to international help.
Russia and Turkey have continued to rally behind Maduro. Russia has urged the international community to help Venezuela solve this problem. Moscow has warned against any meddling in Venezuela's what it calls internal affairs. President Erdogan of Turkey went one step further. He slammed the countries which have recognized the opposition leader. Turkey says that such countries are fueling the turmoil in Venezuela. China, which has invested heavily in this country, is playing a safe game for the moment. A political crisis would be harmful for the business interests of Beijing, but a peaceful transfer of power will not hurt it. Guaido has asked China to abandon Maduro. China has not reacted to these calls just yet. Venezuela's neighbors have called for a meeting to recognize the opposition leader. The bottom line is this: protests are intensifying with every passing day. Several countries are rallying behind the opposition leader, but President Maduro continues to have the backing of countries like China, because China has not sided with the opposition yet, Russia and Turkey more openly, while the US has not ruled out military intervention. More importantly, Venezuela's military remains steadfast in support for its president, Mr. Maduro. Venezuela's poor citizens want political and economic stability. Global powers want access to Venezuela's rich oil reserves. Some of them want normalcy because they have lent heavily to Caracas. They need returns on their investment. And amidst the many battles in Venezuela, the battle for power between Maduro and Guaido has reached an impasse. As protests intensify, with both sides determined to give events a decisive turn, there's a risk of this confrontation only escalating further. It's a story we continue to track.